My belief of how to teach the game now is even more convicted over the last year or so. We are whole parts only if we need them. And you'll see an example here in a second. I'm only doing 5-on-5 unless I need a part for people to understand. Let's say they don't quite understand what a get is or the angle of the get or the options off of the get. Okay, maybe I go to task simplification and I go to some 2-on-2, 3-on-3 out of gets. But I don't want to do it. I don't want to predetermine that. I want to go into a practice and say, hey, we got to do this, and then they can play basketball. Nope. From the first practice with this group, we had 3 practices before a tournament. This is U13 girls. We played basketball. 5-on-5, essentially a whole practice, unless we determined they needed something else. For me, what's the problem a lot in coaching now is a lot of coaching, especially from the NBA on down, is obsessed with this concept of a micro skill. I am not saying a micro skill is not important, but I am saying a micro skill is something that helps a player that is at a higher level. These players need macro skills, and a macro skill to me is decision making. If they make the right decision, they are going to be a better basketball player. The right decision to shoot, the right decision to pass, the right decision to drive, the right decision to get out of problems. So again, I get it. You're inundated with NBA trainers telling you micro skills. But what Jason Tatum needs versus what a player at this age needs, I can tell you is very different. And it's not from a technique standpoint. A technique standpoint is not my big picture. My big picture is tactics. How can I get them tactically better so that they can have a better chance of being able to apply the techniques that they have right now? So the decision for this player driving right now is very simple. And we communicate this. This is the thing. I think conceptual offense, and a lot of people are sharing this, has really been muddied with too much. There's just too much. And I'm really going to try and show you how simple it is, because I've done this for the last year, this simply with this many teams in a very short time. And here's one of the things that simplifies everything for a player. We want you to score, but here's your decision off the dribble. If you drive and you draw 1, then you score. If you drive and you draw 2, then you pass. And then that becomes a very simple thing. Well, what do we mean by drawing 2? And incidentally, the other part of that is that relates to a team behavior. If you draw 1 player, score, because we want you to be aggressive. We want you to explore your possibilities. We want you to be excited about attacking and trying to score. So everyone we want to try and score, because I find they're all better players, and this is where it relates to player development. They're all better players when they're trying to score, right? When they're not trying to score, that's where I feel they become passive and they get into trouble with passes and decisions because they're not actively trying to score. They're not actively being aggressive. So more than anything, I feel that what I do as a coach is I empower them as a confidence coach, that I want them to be able to make a decision that is aggressive and in their best interest for their future development. And that's hard for a lot of coaches because, again, a lot of coaches care that you win at under 13. A lot of coaches care for that social media post that we won a under 11 AU tournament.
This video is an excerpt from a live masterclass presentation on Unlocking Conceptual Offense. Want more? Access the full course and all other videos from this live masterclass on Unlocking Conceptual Offense by joining the Basketball Immersion membership community for as low as $33 a month. Gain exclusive coaching insights, tools, and strategies to elevate your game.
Look, I care about winning and I'm competitive in the moment. But at the end of the day, learning is nonlinear, and what this player is going to be right now versus what they're going to be in 5 years, 6 years, to me, the best compliment could be any one of these 5 players on the court come back to me in 6 years and say, what you taught me at this age helped me at this age. And now I'm continuing to play basketball and I'm retained in the game. So when she drives right now, boom, drive. She draws 1. But as soon as this second player here, she could score against that player because that's drawing 1. She already beat her check on the closeout. She drew 1. As soon as she draw 2, that has to be a pass. And we want that to be a high paint decision, not a low paint decision. And that's a really hard team behavior to teach in conceptual offense. But too many players take that one more deep dribble, and we want them to move it as early as often. Comes back to that mantra: shoot when you're open, pass when someone else is open, drive when nobody's open. So we keep coming back to that. That's as simple as it gets. And if you keep explaining that and getting your players to understand that, then I feel that their team behaviors around sharing the ball will be beautiful and will help. Now, we consciously are spacing the floor. We're consciously trying to develop all these players as 3-point shooters because, again, U13 girls, but I'll do it with the U11 boys. I'll do it with the college guys that I coach this summer with some different programs. The game's the 3-point shooting. And the more you can develop players' aggression from the 3-point line, the better the gravity, the better the spacing you're going to develop. Anyway, she drew 2, she kicked it, open shot. We didn't make it, but that to me is a silver medal shot. We evaluate every possession independent of outcome. That's a silver medal. Silver medal is an open shot in range, in rhythm by a player that can make the shot. You can define that more deeply, or you can keep it very simple. We would just literally call out right now, if it's in practice or game, silver medal. That's all we want them to hear. We want them to know that was a great possession. That gives them immediate feedback. If it's a contested shot, outside of probably your best player probably gets 2 or 3 bronze medals a game because they're their best player and they've earned the right to be able to do that. But otherwise, a bronze medal shot is any type of contested shot. A gold medal shot is any shot in the charge circle. Man, I wish the world would all put the charge circle in, or I wish America would all put the charge circle in. The charge circle just helps define offense and defense so much better, but we won't go down that road. But that's a shot. Any shot, whether it's contested or uncontested, in the charge circle is a smile. We call it the smile because it's the happiest place on earth. That is a gold medal, and we'll just call it a gold medal. Make it or miss it, that's a gold medal. That's a great possession. So we're trying to influence their understanding of how to play better basketball and their basketball IQ by giving them a few simple things to be able to understand what good basketball looks like. How many coaches put them in a system and never explain what a good outcome is? I watched a really high level high school team practice that probably has maybe 2 future pros, NBA players on it. And when I watched them practice, at no point other than yelling, "That's a bad shot," did they ever define what that was at any point. So we want to make sure that every possession, there's something very vocal about understands what the outcome of that possession is. Bronze medal, silver medal, gold medal. There we go. Choose whatever you want, but that's what we do in terms of those things. Another example, spacing. We're trying to play early and opposite. Sometimes it's late and opposite. And this is a hard habit to break, incidentally, is to be able to dribble to the 3-point line to start. Offense starts as soon as we get the ball. And we're trying to get our defense to understand the same. As soon as the offense gets the ball, defense starts. So we want to get higher pickup points on defense, but we want to play earlier on offense rather than later. And that's a big part here. Anyways, she gets down the floor, no spacing on the ball side. We want to play to the weak side. And you'll see, okay, we have a 3 side. Some might say that's bad spacing. To me, it becomes bad spacing if we don't solve it. So we can solve it in a whole bunch of different ways. The middle player cuts is our general theory here. The middle player would 45 cut and empty. But it doesn't always happen. And it doesn't have to always happen. And that's what I'm saying. Sometimes imperfection leads to better outcomes if your players learn how to be adaptable and figure things out. So anyways, we put it in a situation here where we have a 3-on-2 advantage, but not without great spacing. So attack the gap. Again, draw 2, kick it. Great. Pass the dead corner, boom, didn't get it, got away with something, kick it, go back there, make the shot. So what I want you to understand here is this. This is an incredibly hard discipline, and some might say we don't have enough movement, and that's fine, but you'll see some possessions later. What is a hard discipline to teach in a conceptual offense, and that's why I'm showing you this, is the ability of this player here and this player here and this player here to be able to hold a spot when they're open. We want them to hold a spot when they're open. Why do we need to run anything right now if we already have an advantage? And getting people, if you've ever run the 2-side fast break, if not, dive into it. Getting them to hold a corner is one of the hardest things, and there are those things we teach and we emphasize. Because just by doing this, we essentially made this a situation where we didn't run perfect offense. This player here, for example, when they cut, they got to get into space and then they got to get out to space. She made a wrong decision and she knew it as soon as she started backing up. As soon as she started running out right now, she started running out. We don't run back out because if you run back out, in theory, you bring your defender back out with you. She needs to go to a dunker spot. We always tell players, if you don't know where to go to a dunker spot, and it's great because since the Boston Celtics obviously ran a lot of dunker spot with guards this year, it's become a little bit easier to be able to explain to players, hey, listen, the Boston Celtics put guards there. It's not just a big player spot. It's a spacing spot. So you'll see she actually corrects herself, and her correction here opens up the 3-point shot. That's what I'm saying about adaptable. This isn't perfect, but we want players to figure out. If she ran back out here, she takes away the space. She actually corrects, goes back to the dunker, and because of that, this player stays down, and then we get a wide open 3 to a player that just held a spot. And that to me is one of the biggest things that I know that they're starting to figure out what we're talking about because they're holding a spot.